Hey guys, so this is the notes and support for 3.5 in principles. As we go through here, just keep in mind what we're working with is being able to solve proportions. Now, proportion, you have to understand, is two ratios that have been set equal. So you can see how we have a ratio of 2 to 5 and a ratio of x to 3. To solve these proportions, when they're in this initial setup, which is what we're going to look at in this assignment, when we're working with these types of proportions, we notice that the variable that we're looking for is always on top. Now that's going to make these easier to solve than ratios or proportions, rather proportions that are going to happen maybe in a situation where we'll have the variable on bottom. We'll see a little bit of that in 3.6. So as we look at this, just this basic version, we really want to focus on this letter K, number 12, and ask ourselves, how is it connected to the 9 that's here next to it? It looks like our K is being divided by 9. So to be able to isolate the K, we need to reverse that operation. That would require us to multiply by 9. A 9 over a 9 is going to cancel, but to do that on the left, we have to do it on the right. At this point, we can grab our calculator and turn it on and do a quick 10 divided by 18 times 9. Now the order we type this in is not really going to matter. We don't even need to use parentheses. We just need to type it all in there and we get 5. So for number 12, K equals 5, and we are done. That's going to work its way down until we get down here. You're going to do the same thing on all those questions. When we get to 23 through 30, we've got to be a little bit more careful about how we're doing it because the proportions have not been set up yet. But the good news is that they're written out in a way that's pretty easy to work with. Like 27 says, B is to 10, there's a comparison, as 7 is to 2. So it's giving us two different comparisons to make. B is to 10, if we put a division bar there, we would get B over 10, as is going to be our equal sign. It's the same comparison as 7 is to 2. And here again we find that our proportion is set up for us to solve with our variable on top, meaning all we have to do is times by 10 on both sides to get B equal to, in this case, 35. So we have to set up those proportions first in this situation, but it's pretty straightforward. We just throw the divisions and the equal sign in, and we're good to go. This last part of the assignment is the same thing. We continue with the same idea. There is a little bit that will happen towards the end. You will get a lot of decimals as you go through this, but let's look at 36 here real quick. It's not just H on top anymore. Now we're starting to see things with the H. I'm not going to worry about that initially. I still have the same approach. Whatever's underneath my H, I want to multiply that over. So I'm going to times by 108, times by 108. The difference is, instead of getting H, I now have 10H equal to, and whatever we get out of our calculator here, 5 divided by 9 times 108 is 60. So we're going to say that 10H equals 60. And instead of being done, we have to look at how do we separate this 10 from the H. Well, since 10 is multiplied by H, I divide by 10. And that will give me that H will equal 6. So a little bit of work to do at the very end to make sure H is completely alone, but otherwise it's the same approach the whole way through when we solve those. Now in 3.6, it's going to be a little bit more work. We're going to have to try a different approach because sometimes our variable is not in the denominator. So we're going to want another approach for that. Or not in the numerator. When it is on the bottom, we need another approach. All right, good luck and ask your questions when I see you in class.